Today, we're going to be looking at creating a beat using our roadmap. So we are going to make this beat in the video. The point of this is not to be a totally dumb beat. In fact, it's very undone in many ways. There's wrong notes occasionally just because of the workflow that we went through. There's weird transitions. There's a whole bunch of problems. But the point is, I try to share my thought process while I'm composing. I skip over a ton of time that I would spend making things better and perfect and fixing it up. I'm sort of chugging through it, trying to give you perspective. And we can start with a structure. And the point of this is, your workflow changes dramatically. Like if you have a chord structure before you start writing, then you can focus on sounds very differently than when you would normally focus on chords. It augments the way you would do things. So here's a playthrough, and then the rest of the video is just going through it. So again, this isn't perfect. In fact, it needs just a lot more work, but you get the idea. You'll be able to move through and sort of chug out something useful that you can now refine and shape. And this time we've gotten into a little more details on the roadmap. We've talked about melody, we've talked about key changes, talked about developing these things, chords, chord changes, that sort of a thing. So now we're going to apply some of it. So my challenge is going to be for you to create a more detailed roadmap than you normally do. So you see here, I got a little crazier on the structure and the melody. And this isn't like super detailed, but the point is I have some sort of an idea of what I'm going to do, and then try to make what you wrote out, what your thing was. And you could have it down to like the sound you're going to use and the chords you're going to use and what you're going to do with each individual sound. And I encourage you to sit down and write one that's that detailed, because it'll be an interesting experience trying to bring that to life. And then you'll probably veer off in some ways and be true to what you wrote in other ways. So very useful, but you could share it down below and share the map you had that got you to the beat that you made. And it'd be very interesting to just see how different people, what they wrote, what you sort of thought would express your idea, and then what came out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to give an example of this right now. I'm just going to go at it. So I want to make a chill beat, and I have structures, and you see here I have, for the A section, I want a beat, and I'm going to use just my drums as my intro. And my drums are going to play for like 8 bars. It's going to be, my rhythm is drum based, And then I want my chords to come in on the B section, so maybe another 8 bars. Then melody. Now, when I get to C, I have 2 themes I want to introduce. I don't know what they are yet, but I want 2 themes, probably using some sort of synth and the piano, but we'll see. And I want them each to be 8 bars. And then I also want to develop my theme via when I reach B. So I'm going to vary up my chords, and I'm going to develop the theme via harmonic content. So I'm going to have some harmony, and occasionally it's going to play a counter melody role, like a small one. Nothing too crazy. And then I'm going to reprise probably by shifting the theme to another voice. I'm not totally sold what I'm going to do yet. There's 2 themes divvied up into 8 bars each is a very popular thing to do. You'll see it all over the place. So the harmony, nothing fancy. I have a brief chord progression I am probably going to use. And that's that. This follows just a general chord progression. If you have that major scale chord progression chart thing, it says, oh, this chord likes to go to that chord and this one to the next one. I just use that. I decided to use the 3 for fun. It's not super common, but it's interesting, right? And I was thinking about experimenting with interesting chord voicings, like rootless voicings with the root and the bass, but we'll see. I might just not do that. So we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. So first I need to select my drum sounds, right? And I want to do this because my beat is going to be my main rhythm, and I'm going to use it to draw some inspiration for my melody. My chords I've already got figured out with my chord progression here. So chords don't need to worry about that at all. So first I need a kick, and I'm going to select like 2, 3 kicks. And I'm going to go ahead and select over here real quick. And we're going to go to our snare or kick, and we're going to just find a cool kick. And so on our sounds here, oh, that's kind of an interesting sound. I'm going to load that up on 3. It's going to be like sort of my wild card. I like that one. And then I want generally maybe a 909 for layering. I like that one. Okay, so we've got that. Next up, I'm actually going to go for my hi-hats. So we're going to go to hi-hats. And this is sort of just what makes the songs catchy is when you have something you don't expect, like a cool vocal riff or that odd percussion sound or an odd fill in your song. As soon as you get that in a way that's like good, so you write out a hook that jives, but then you add in that one thing that's sort of just like adds that special thing. It's not expected. It's a sound from nowhere, but it fits oddly well. And that really makes the song memorable. And so I'm trying to incorporate this more because I haven't paid the greatest attention to it in the past. So let's go to these bikini ones. I dig them. And we'll load up another one of these. Cool. And for the snare, my BPM is going to be like 95-ish. 96. What the heck? And for the snare, let's go to here. You can get way crazier than what I'm doing here, but just showing you some general things. The snares are way down here in this folder. I kind of like that. Maybe make it a little tighter. No, I like the end. Something like that. I don't know. So let's go ahead and that's going to be my main kick, right? So it'd be like boom, boom. That's what I'm thinking. Different snare. Before I do this, make sure you reset all your stuff. That's like a synth. We'll see that one. Whoa, wrong thing. There's no way to undo this in FL. I find it highly annoying. You could totally undo this in Renoise, but you can't undo this here. So you have to just remember what sample you had. Or you just find another sample. Let's try that sample. Nope. We had Bikini 3, right? So, okay, if we have a basic drum groove, I'm going to stop there on the drums. I don't want to go like, because you could spend forever searching for sounds to get something that really is cool together. I'm going to make this one unique. And so we have our intro. And we'll just vary up our relationship here. Put one there. Oh, whoops, I moved the snare. I meant to move the hat. And this guy can be, it's going into channel 1. Let's add a transient master. And a Maximus for added control. I want to just bring out the thump. Maybe go for some mid snap. This is so small. And an EQ. I feel like this drum's sonic character will be creatively important, so I want to give it a little attention. We'll run with that right now. I'm not going to get bogged down in all the mixing right now. I just wanted to make that adjustment. And then we'll go ahead, come to this last one, make it unique. So we've got our first 4, right? But this last one, I'm going to throw in my wild card right here. Cool. And then we'll repeat it. And so there's our intro. Easy peasy, lemon a squeezy, right? And we want to add, I want to add another sample to give this just a little more life. Let's see what kind of hand drums. I think hand drums are the wrong way to go. Let's look for a different. I think we could just get away with pitching one down. So let's add a new sample. Okay, we're just going to jive with that for now because we're going to move on to the rest of our structure. Okay, so we have that right now as a tentative drum loop, tentative. So say, okay, we've got our beat. Now we'll throw in some chords. For the chords, I just have sort of atmospheric as an idea. And what I was messing with was a library I have that has some cool bellow chords in the background. So let's load up. It's in the Spitfire library. You just need to find some cool, with a cool sound to it, like this sort of sound. Playing very low. Like, yeah, that's cool, right? So we're going to run with that. It's got sort of a long release. So that might not work, but let's go ahead and write in our chords. And so a new pattern for the chords, I said 1 4 5. Oh no, 1 6 1 6 4 5. So say I'll follow what I wrote. So 1 4. That's a 3. I wrote a 6. That's what I wrote. 1 6. I'll make these down an octave. Okay, 1 6, and then I did 4 5. So I'll do 4, easy enough. Just move this up. 5. So these are all the closest voicings available. So and then I'm gonna go 3 4 2 5. So we'll do a 3. I want this to okay, let's write it out like this. So we got 1 6 4 5, which would be a G, and then 3 6 2 5. Is that what I wrote? 3 6 2 5. 3 6 2 5 1. Yeah, which is gonna loop over. That'll create the 2 5 1. Well, this is the 2 5, and then the 1. There you go. So put a C, and then I won't omit any voicings yet. We can double one. We'll double the root, and then we will do D. So I'll move this there, move that there, leave that there, and then G. There we go. And I'm just gonna bring this back in. This might not be the right sound at this moment in time, but we have our chords. See, that's another thing. When you have this, you're able to sort of, your workflow shifts, because now I'm like, hey, I got my chords. Now I got to find just a sound that jives with the chords. And I'm free to change the rhythm right now. I just wrote that down as just a skeleton. Let's try a different one. Let's make this a 7. Give it sounds weird without having a 7th. Okay, so I just cloned it, and let's see what my structure says. So we have a beat and then the chords. So we'll bring in the melody next, right? Here, I also want to add in a sort of a little pluck sound thing in ARP. So I'm going to load up another, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste my chords. I'm going to go in and turn on the arpeggiator in the background and turn the gate up pretty significantly. I'm going to turn the expression and the dynamics down in the vibrato. These are like my pains sometimes when I'm working with that plug. And I'm going to close this, and I want to go to Retro Synths. It's if you have complete, you should have this. And I'm just going to load up. Let's go to the mini. And go to the flute and put it out its own channel. Okay. And I'm going to turn on the chord setting here too. Nah, that's not a great idea. We'll leave it alone. You might be going, that was an awfully specific move. Like, how on earth did you know to do that? And the answer is, I just know this sound. I was messing around in here and I found this and I was like, wow, this is a really cool sound. So every now and then I will come in here specifically for this sound. Another one that we could even call upon right now, just for added color to our chord progression that I really like. And this one I actually have saved down here. If I go to my piano's quick load menu, the Frozen piano, it's ironically, it's just, I believe, one sample. But it's a Frozen piano by Heaviosity. and it's just got a really nice tone to it. So I want to use that. So let's go ahead and write in some color notes. And I'm just going to use ghost notes for this. So we'll come in here and say, oh, look at this. And that's what it sounds like. So it's just a nice sounding thing. See, that's nice. So let's go ahead and write in some things here. Now this isn't my melody yet, so I don't want to do anything that's going to distract. So maybe just a basic. Maybe just a small pulsing eighth note thing. Or these, I think, are 16ths. You might be going, why was I copying and pasting specific sets? It's because I copied the velocities, so now I don't have to redraw on all the velocities. I could if I want to. I think this would sound better an octave up too. Okay, cool. So simple enough. Hit Control S because we're so cool. We're gonna name this one. It's the ocean. Why not? So I got an ocean vibe now. That's what I was getting. Okay, so here I did not write where I want to introduce my bass, but let's go ahead and move on to the C section. So this over here is the A section. So if you hit Alt T, you can name it. So we'll hit A section. Move your thing over so that the next full block is visible, and hit Alt T. That's our B section. We'll do that one more time. Alt T, C. So here we will have it. So I might do something musical here to transition into the new section, but let's go ahead and just do our melody. Now, something that would be kind of cool is we've introduced this sound. Let's go ahead and make it more melodic. Maybe we'll have this become our melody. So I'm going to go ahead and make this unique. So you don't need a lot of sounds all the time. I'll probably end up adding a lot for this particular style, but pretty cool. So I'm going to go C and then something like this. So this is going to be my first 8-bar melody, right? So there we go. Whoops. Wrong notes. Put some scale moves in here. Oh, yeah. Oh, that'll be a nice peak. Do a little chromatic action there. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this for the second 8 bars. So here's our first melody. We have that done. And you notice I'm leaving this out. I would consider that later. I'm sort of ignoring the drums right now. I come back, make the drums more interesting as I get more of this composition down. But what I'm going to do now is, so this is my first melody. Second melody, I'm thinking of taking the same pattern, but this time I'm going to take that art piano thing, move it down so it's a little bit more out of the way and subdued. And I'm going to now add in a new voice. And I'm trying to think of what kind of sound I want for this voice. Maybe just a regular piano. I don't really have anything totally specific in mind. It could be as simple as an ARP thing too. I'm thinking about doing something like that. Let's go ahead and dig in here. I think I wrote down French horn was something I was thinking about. French horn or a flute. Reprise to another voice. Maybe it was on another beat. French horn sounds like a good idea. Let's go with the French horn. So we'll go to Spitfire again. And I'm going to use a solo horn. And close that out. Maybe make it farther away. Just for fun. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to select my French horn preset that I made because way more convenient to use. All right, now out of breath right there. And I'm going to add dynamics to this too. It would help a great deal. In fact, let's do that now. So we'll go in here. So I have this dynamics knob, and I'm going to right click and edit events in piano roll. So this is our entrance, right? Let's check it out. Maybe a little bit more of a sudden entrance, and then we'll fade off here. It's a little weird when you're editing. It doesn't read back to values correctly. You have to let it play through. It's a little bright. Maybe a small. Ah, it's weird. Yeah, I don't know why. I felt like it should be an F there for a second, and then nah. Do one of these. And the beat will continue on. That makes sense to write in right there. Let's find some cool synth sounds and embellish some of the melody from the horn to add in some interest. So to do that, I'm going to use FM8 because it's got a really awesome set of presets. So I don't have to, I'm not going to go and do a bunch of sound design right now. I'd rather just look for a cool sound already. Oh my. perfect. It's the kind of sounds I'm looking for. We're just going to do small harmonies on parts that make sense. I want the G on the bottom. This. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, send it to a mixer track, add, I'm going to just send it to the verb I already have. Verb delay send. So you see, not too crazy. All right, now let's see here. Our next section, I'm kind of just checking my way through this. Some of these things I would take a lot longer just to experiment, try additional things. But we have here, okay, so we have our chords, we have our melody, we have our two themes. That's important. So we have our two themes. So B prime is variation on the chords. So this is going to be it. So we're going to make this unique, and we could do, for the variation on the chords, we could go 1, 6. We could swap the 5, 4 here. And so we could do a, I wish there was like a switch option, but I guess there isn't. So we'll just do it like this. Go. Oh, do I have this in multiple spots? I do. So I'm just switching the role of the two chords to be a little different. C will no longer work here. It must be a B. And this, we'll make this an A. That'll be interesting. And then another thing, instead of changing the progression too, we can change the voicing instead. And so we could vary it up, just move a couple of things around. Let's change the voicing specifically on the long held notes. And we'll take this one, we'll put the B up there. We'll take this A down. This is a, because this D is so low, that will work out fine. And this is we've introduced some leaps, so that'll be interesting. More or less, it should be okay. That's the 7. I probably don't want to remove the 7. Let's just add a 9. This last one I'm not going to touch. Leave that alone. And then for the chord thing, I think it'd be cool to have like a, like one of those cool sine wave things. So let's grab a 3 oscillator, 3 times the OSC, bang, and let's just make it a sine wave. Whoa, that's beautiful and loud. And let's go ahead and set in the background it to mono. And we are going to copy the chords. Let's draw it out, actually. I think it'd be wise. And we'll go lower. See, that's got a cool feel to it. What is this? It's a 6 chord. I could get more colorful voicings and stuff. Holy smokes, what am I doing here? This should be a G chord. We'll just make this a D. Cheap way out. Okay, and this should be a F, so 4 chord. That's right, we switched the roll. Go to F, A, C. Ooh, we'll throw in a little extra there. Okay, and then 3 chords, so E, B, G. It's a minor chord. You could do various things with ARPs here too. I know someone's going to say, why don't you just use an ARP? Sometimes writing in notes is just better. There's something about it that I like. E, A. We'll throw in the 7. What the heck? And things like that happen. That's another valuable. There's a workflow difference. Like you tend to add in more notes. More ideas occur to you. Like that one. And then we'll do. Whoops, forgot my progression again. A, D. Oh, we go to the 2. Okay. I can do that. I'm going to start at a D. F. A. Do a C. What the heck? Am I missing a note somewhere? Nope. And then finally the G. Okay. Now all of these, except for the first one, of course, will be brought down an octave. So this D will go down to this D. Move that one back up. Okay, this is what we have. This has to be a G. That just sounds weird. Toss in our bass here too. Ooh, perfect chance to introduce a bass. We'll use another 3 OSC for the bass, just to be very simple. We'll just use a sine wave bass. So same deal. Leave everything else the same. Go to the background, hit mono, hit your tool. Okay, let's go in, and we'll just add in our progression, which is 1. Hold up. I did not choose a sine wave. I did choose a sine wave. But the volume, that's what you change, not the pitch. What am I doing? Okay, so. And this whole note thing is sort of relaxing. We get crazy with the rhythm. So it's 1, 6, 4, 5, 3. Oh, we did 5, 4 for this one. 5, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5. you have big speakers, that's going to be a cool effect to have. Okay. And so we've got this. Now, let's see here. Let's go back to our master plan, right? We got a little distracted with some cool ideas. So we've got our variation on our chords. Not crazy amount of variation, but we do some color things as well. Add in a couple of new sounds. That'll keep it there. We can come back and make things special on a couple more listen throughs and just add in things as we see fit. But now I said, let's do a key change and let's do a, and on C, oh, I wanted to develop my counter melody there. Let's do a key change and develop my melody on B. Why not? That's an example of getting distracted and doing something different than what you wrote. And that is okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag those over. I'm going to grab my two melodies. And I'm going to really quick hit Shift G or Control G and merge them together. I don't know if there's a way to... The heck? This is the length of one of these, right? No, this is longer. It's longer because I have that out on the end. That's why I have extra stuff. Okay. Move this over here. Makes more sense now. Did that because I'm going to just shift this whole thing up by a fifth. It's an easy trick, but it's not quite the same as actually writing out all the inversions and doing everything properly. So this will work now, though, because this isn't a complicated piece. But later on, you're going to have to go in, do every single sound, and do this. Also, we're going to have a range problem, I think, with the horn. If we go up to a G. So I'm going to go down. Let's see if we can play that high. Nope. We're going to definitely have a range problem. We'll go down. Well, we're going to transpose up a fifth and go down to the G, or down a fourth. Basically, transposing down a fourth because of the rule of 9. You know that from the music theory series? Yeah, that rule. Okay. And we're going to take this one up to a C. And we should have this. Never realized how weak that sound sort of is. It's sort of buried in the mix. That's something we could fix later on. But I'm considering doubling it with maybe a glockenspiel or just using it to accent the important notes. But anyways, those are ideas. You see, like, whoa, we've got all these extra ideas and things we can solve. It's just a different way of doing things. Oh, what the heck is going on here? Did I already move this one around? Should I have left it at the G? What is this? For now, I'm just going to cut it out because I don't want to deal with it. Okay, so that's what we have, and we need to introduce our second melody, right? So I'm only going to do it for, the first one, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and do your own beat if you're watching this all the way through. So let's go ahead and go to this section. So I'm just going to add a harmony on some of these parts, not too hard. I'm using my chord structure pretty heavily. It depends on the style of piece. Other pieces, this would be a lot more difficult to do things this way. But for now, it'll work out great. So I'm going to use a D, and then I'm going to put in a little rising thing. And then do one of those. What are we doing here? We're doing a G, a C, and an E. Oh, that should work out. Ooh, oh my. Did that really work there? That'll be good. So you see, it just sort of, why this thing's repeating notes, it moves, it creates this like interest. Oh, we got harmony, we have the second thing, and it's just really interesting to listen to. And we'll go, we'll land on a, what are we moving on? This is the 3 chord. Oh, I forgot. We transposed up a 5th. That's why that works. So you see now with the horn, I might need to consider a couple different things. So for the horn part, I might need to go in and add in more brass, maybe a second French horn, or I could change the horn part. I could try and use color, so I could use strings coming in to embellish, like give the strings a counterpart. So because the horn sort of has this call with no response, it's like this speaking off into the distance. It's like a guy speaking with no crowd to listen. He's just like lamenting. That's the way I sort of see it. So at least that was going through my mind when I wrote it. That's kind of strange. This is strange to think about, but I could have that. So do do, and then I gave the strings go do 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 do, and then na na, something like that. Let's do a basic string line. So just to show you what I mean. So we'll go into our strings here. And I'm just going to use I use the regular. I'm not going to worry about the sounds of these right now, just because if I do, it's just a lot more buttons to push. So what I'm going to do is come over here and move. This is an example of me just using my ear. That click is from samples loading. It's because I want my sample libraries to load up fast. See how long this bar is going to take forever to fill up. Okay, but anyways, I could hit buttons to make it do it faster, but it comes with some side effects I don't want. What's my horn playing? Well, that was a lucky hit. I wasn't sure that was my horn. A, G, D. Okay. So with an A, we'll do a little unison here. And then you see so it sings in unison. I could go to a harmony, but it might make my melody a little weird. I could pull from the E and do a stepwise motion and try and get something over here, but that would sacrifice some my beat 3 here, which I think is pretty important. Let's see. Holy smokes, what am I even writing right now? That's pretty nice, like that. I'd have to rewrite the dynamics on the horn part now that I'm considering a second instrument. I'd have to rewrite this part too, or not rewrite it, but add in dynamics and make them play together. And then I could add in a couple more things. And you see, it becomes this really intricate thing of like da na 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 na, like something like that. And that's not what I'm singing, but you get the idea. Things are melding together in really sort of cool ways. And at some point, I could probably remove, if I get crazy enough, I could just remove this whole background thing and go for it. Because this is pretty repetitive. On a track where I'm going to do this, I may settle on this because it's a pretty interesting thing on its own with the use of color. But I could also get crazier and change up how everything works here and not have things last for a whole measure every single time. But that's that right now. So we have our intro, and then we've gone through and we've added a melody. We've developed it a little bit, come with the sound design, and we've really sort of made this thing happen. Now, I didn't quite finish to this section just because I'm going to stop the video here. But so we went from our intro. And now I might revisit this and change it up and make some adjustments, but this is what we have. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know. Support me on Patreon, and have a blessed day.